Hello, ladies and gents. This is Gruvi. Thank you for joining me once again. And let's play some of the Tyranny.
Yes.
And okay, so we finished our meeting with the Archons. We had to take sides, pretty much. So I stood in favor of his favor, if that makes any sense. And okay, so Voices of Nerat disappeared, and now we have to level Lantry up. I might go for ability and spell cooldown. Also, spell strength and magic defense makes sense for him. Let's go with spell strength, magic defense, save. As for his sage abilities, what do we have here? The quill. I wonder why does he have like the quill abilities? Doesn't make any sense to me. I wanted to make him more of a wizard. Arcane Judgment. What does this do? Empowers Watcher's Judgment. What's this? Strike force with an arcane attack. Strike foes. This improves his lore skill. Okay, so his lore skill will let us build spells, better spells, more powerful spells. Let's go with the lore. Yes. And for spell crafting, we didn't have any core sigils, so we cannot build spells yet. But let's spend some time with Lantry. Let's first of all, his weapon. Let's make this a secondary weapon, and let's give this guy stuff. This makes crush damage, 8 damage total, range. This gives him courage. What does this mean? Immunity to frightened. Oh, that's pretty good. Let's go with this one. Yeah, looking better. What about the boots? What about the boots? Boots. We have these Scarlet Fury boots that gives a little bit less recovery, but more disengagement defense. Same for the heavy leather boots. What's the difference? The scholar boots seem to make more sense. Let's stay with the scholar boots. What about the gauntlets? Do we have something that makes more sense? Pretty much the same. This doesn't make any sense. And this doesn't make any sense. What about the helmet? We have the Sage's Hood. Deflection and accuracy, and you're a sage. So it only makes sense that you wear this. Oh yeah. Hell yeah. And what about this stuff? Studded iron gorget. This gives you plus 10 parry. I might give Gruvi this. Where does this go? What do we have here? We have purifying, whatever that is, immunity to poison. That's good. It saved me last time, and this gives me more quickness. And Gruvi uses quickness quite a lot. I'll take this. Over immunity to poison, let's give this to Verse. Let's go back to Lantry. Do we have some jewelry to give you? Nope. Do we have any more accessories to give you? Weapons. Okay, I'm satisfied with Lantry. Let's spend some time with Burst now. Girl, you've been amazing. You've been the very best. So you only deserve the best. We do have the Falx, but only it's two-handed. What about this bow? Let's compare bows to bows. No, your bow is better. Your bow is good. Okay. Now what about this? May the Edic claim your worthless life. Okay, so we have a missive. What's this? We are not completely without our senses. We knew Kairos would issue an edict on our body. Perhaps the Overlord has a sick sense of humor, but I can assure I laughed when I learned the death sentence doomed the Oathbreaker and Puppet equally. I had such low expectations for the servant of the so-called Archon of Justice. To none seems little more than a passive stooge that sits on a throne to legitimize the carnage and plunder of the other Archons. The face of prosperity that lets Kairos claim one thing while being another. I would have hoped you actually did serve justice, the notion, not the Archon, but your actions have said otherwise. At least I can thank you for proving my cynicism entirely warranted. If you survive this upcoming slaughter, bear witness that I, Tarkis Ari of the Bentrin Guard, do take responsibility for the actions of my crew. Should my warriors come before the court's axe, tell to none that they were starving, desperate, and easily manipulated into a struggle that was mine, and not theirs. Sell this lie as well as you would sell the lies of the Overlord. Okay, Tarkis. And what do we have to do now? We have to speak with the Aero Marshal to hear his plan for taking the Citadel.
Will do.
But you know what? Since I did spend some time roaming around the Scarlet Curse camp and doing some side story, I think I might do the same here. Let's who's this? This is the Air Marshal. This is Sevilla's. The troops are ready. Perhaps I waited too long to do this, and now it's no longer possible. Now my only option is to take on the main quest. I do get some important character options here, like Lucia and Marcus. Let's talk to them. Oh no, they're completely focused on taking the inventory as well. I know there was something going on back here when we got to the camp. Let's see if they're still roaming around. Nope. No, not possible. Okay. Never mind. So I think that's pretty much it. We could though develop the stories of our characters. We could talk with them. I do want to do that, so let's do it. Let's talk with Burst for a little bit. So she says, I couldn't help but notice you were eyeballing the disfavored symbol littered about camp. Okay, so she has a little bit of fear towards us. She likes us to loyalty, and she's about to be more loyal to us. It's hardly a symbol, just a scroll. Actually, I have other questions. Okay, it's hardly a symbol. That's true. But it used to be the pride of Gruvi and Ash's legion before Kairos made them deface it. What happened? Word has it that Ash has been under more scrutiny than the other Archons, seeing as he took stand against Kairos in the past. Before he bent the knee to Kairos, Graven Ash rallied his legions against the Overlord's authority. His prowess on the battlefield ingratiated him to the Archons, who welcomed him into their ranks in exchange for his obedience. Ash's troops impressed the growing empire, but Kairos made them sacrifice everything they were up to the point. Ash surrendered. They've been disfavored ever since, and fighting to earn back their honor. I guess that's why they do not cross the Overlord. Okay, I had other questions. Go on then.
What do you need?
What do you need? Tell me something about yourself, about your time with the Scarlet Chorus. What are your thoughts on the disfavored? You learn a thing or two about fighting the Scarlet Chorus, care to duel. That's interesting. Can we duel? This reminds me of Knights of the Old Republic, where you could duel with one of the characters, the Vera Luca. I don't remember her name. I think it was Mira. You could duel her and learn a thing or two. And also with the Mandalorians. And never mind. Just me being a geek. Tell me something about yourself.
Yeah, if you insist. I'm a Scarlet Fury.
You're a Fury.
That should raise some flags for you. It means that I'm good at killing, and more importantly, that I enjoy it.
Nice.
What I won't enjoy are the pleasures of funerary rites packed with weeping mourners. Someday I'll fall in battle, and then they'll roll me into a mass grave or heap me atop a shit-stained wagon. One more anonymous, knife-riddled piece of meat.
Interesting.
Until then, I plan to take whatever I can from life and have a little fun along the way.
Okay, do you have a life before the curse? Life? What life? As far as I'm concerned, I didn't exist before the curse. There was some girl in a farm wearing my face and talking with my voice, but she wasn't me. That's not good, girl. Sometimes she would sneak out at night, take a scythe, and have some fun with livestock. So you're pretty fucked up in the head, aren't you? When the Scarlet Crow swept through my village on their long trek from the bastard city, that was when my family finally woke up. I buried my old life, took red vengeance on anyone who'd wronged me, and then found freedom I could only dream. Okay, what of your parents? My mother ran a successful farm, and I worked it for a number of years before I found the chorus. She was a hard, bitter woman, act like the world owed her something. Acted. She never talked about my father, though I figured out a thing or two about him later on. He was a merchant from the Northern Empire who took a liking to her, and she him. He stayed around only long enough to get what he wanted. And do you ever wish you could go do things over? End up somewhere other than Kyle's army? That's not something appropriate for the Fatebinder to say. I'm sorry, but no. How did you get conscripted? What's the significance of your feathers? We're getting awfully chummy, so I guess you deserve a story. Okay, so this means we passed the loyalty test. My mother kept a messenger bird, Witherbeak. He was an angry old bastard, spoiled from living the high life. Squawked in my window every single night. I packed my fingers while I fed him only the fattest choosest mice. When I left the farm to join the Scarlet Curse, I wrung that ungrateful little fucker like a dish rag, plucked his feathers and gave him his carcass to the mice. It felt like justice. I also like how the feathers catch the breeze. Helps me keep my balance, especially when I'm moving fast. So you're pretty much completely fucked up in the head. How did you get conscripted? How did I think you have the wrong idea about me. The Crows didn't take me as a sobbing maid. I strode into the camp and enlisted. Someone tossed me a dented blade. I lived through initiation, spent a week butchering my neighbors, and moved on with my new kin. Do you ever wish you could do things over and end up somewhere other than Kyle's army? That's not something I want to say. Enough question about your past. Your time with the Scarlet. What are your thoughts on David's favorite? A warren of self-entitled children, so wound up in their delusions of honor, they are likely to hang themselves by their own high standards. Okay, so you don't like moral values. That's not good. You lost some points with me, girl. Do you think that his favorite have a chance to succeed in the tiers? What do you think of Ravenash? I've seen enough of that high-minded braggart to know that his whole duty, nothing but a charismatic, broad-shouldered scarecrow. He calls himself the Archon of War, though by the way he stalls his forces, waiting for a better strategy to present itself, you would think he's afraid of battle. Watch your words. I would not hear of you talking of the Archon this way. Was I even talking to you, Junkyard? And no, I will not. Think that someone more deserving would take Ash's mantle from him, but the disfavored made his cult of personally built around their great general, blah blah blah. What about Ash's connection to these troops? I suppose this number 2 is dangerous. Who would you see take the Ash's place? I suppose you have a better idea how to handle the disfavored forces. What about Ash's connection with his troops? Okay, so Graven Ash protects his soldiers, keeping harping on those words like they mean something. I don't deny that the disfavored can take a few extra lumps on the battlefield, but that only speaks to the thick-headedness. If anything, it's only true because his soldiers place that much trust in him. I've seen the power of suggestion do stranger things to people. Could that be possible? You're talking about a man who's century old and wears glowing armor. You tell me. Well, yeah, you make a point. Who would you see take Ash's place? That's a dangerous question to ask. You have a better idea how to handle the disfavored forces? Of course I do. First I stopped babying the troops. Pain is a lesson best learned early. I'd conscript from the locals to bolster the front lines, because why waste your elite on the vanguard? Then I'd leave any misplaced ethics back in the Northern Empire. They're not helping Kairos' campaign anyway, so fuck them. You take everything that makes them strong. Oh, we gain fear with burst. Damn it. It's a damn fine alternative from where I'm standing. If all that strength couldn't end that siege, what good is it to anyone? What would that be so wrong? The chorus is accountable for itself in ways that the disfavored aren't, or a weak die and the strong fight to keep their rank. The disfavored promote their warning bloodline. And discipline any soldier with the audacity to show their teeth. Though they'd never admit it, the disfavored need the chorus to show them the way. Okay, farewell. Okay, so we learned a thing or two about verse, and I would like to talk with Barik for a little bit. Okay, so he fears us, fear 1.
What can I do for you?
I'd like to know more about you. I am the line your enemies cannot cross. All of the details are meaningless, but I suspect you have some thirst for details, so ask away. Did you seek the trade of war, or did it find you? Tell me about your name. Barik is shortening of my northern surname, which has been passed down through the generations since Grave Nash assembled his army. I go by it because I wear it with pride. The proper form is Barikonen. Nice. Beyond its ancient association with the General's Legion, the name of Barikonen has no great titles or associations. I hold no claim to a great house or legacy, save for the disfavored. They are all the kin I need. What's the story with your armor? Interesting.
It is a symbol of Kairos' will, one that I am not likely to forget. I found this armor. Perhaps it would be better to say that it found me during the Edict of Storms.
The Edict, I think the Edict of Storms is not the one that I enacted. Let's see, what happened? When we heard that Kairos would proclaim the Edict, we rushed into the field to battle the forces of Stalwart. I was shoulder to shoulder with some of the Legion's most decorated veterans, and my pride blinded me to the danger. Our march was a hasty one. A cohort of the disabled soldiers vanished in the second year of the war, among them the daughter of Gruvi. After a long silence, we learned that she was held in the fortress of the Sentinel Stand. Go on. As we surrounded the citadel, I heard the opening peals of thunder, as did the scout I was busy trying to kill. Then the winds hit like an avalanche. Many of us begged Kairos for deliverance. What else were we to do? The winds knocked the legs of our offensive from under us. All the decorated soldiers I brought to the battle were swept up and dashed to pieces, their armor and bodies mixing with the dirt of a tornado that spun in the Badanic revolutions. Lantry says, "Damn, things chooses this moment to go dry, with so few survivors to recount the edict." A piece of citadel wall broke off and nearly crushed my skull. I only remember a few scattered moments from the storm, like the flying bits of bronze and iron cutting my flesh, the severed limbs of fallen soldiers stumbling through the air. Eventually I woke up, thinking myself trapped on the rubble. When I rose and felt like I was buckling under my own weight, that's when I realized I was stuck, right and truly stuck inside this heap of scrap. What happens to Ashi's daughter? Oh, damn it. Back to my previous question. What happened to Ashi's daughter? She was trapped behind the walls of the Sentinel Stand, imprisoned by Kairos' storm as well as the fortress itself. So Kairos basically killed Ashi's daughter. 1,000 soldiers standing shoulder to shoulder could not have endured those winds to rescue her. How did you survive when everyone fell? That is a mystery to me as well. Did Kairos hear my plea for mercy? Did this heap of scrap metal protect me, imprison me, punish me? You're genuinely stuck in there? Haven't tried taking it off? I made attempts in the past. Even had one of the beast holders pull on the helmet while another pulled on my boots. The men in the phalanx have taken great pleasure in trying to find ways to liberate me. In time, I grew wary of the struggle. Sometimes I feared that removing the armor would be to question Karo's judgment and risk more odious curse. Interesting. How do you shower? How do you take a shit? Oh, that's pretty disgusting, man. Looks like pretty solid protection. That would be an understatement, if only it protected me from foolish questions. Okay, you fuckwit. Do you handle your own repairs? I try to keep the surface old to slow the spreading rust. I bend the plate, blah blah blah. No maintenance. Back to my questions about you. As with all this favored, I assume you grew up in the Northern Empire. That's right. I grew up in Battle's Rest, then trained at Fort Resolution before they marched me out to support the second cohort. I hope to spend my rusting years in Fredden's shores, unless of course I die in glorious battle, which would be preferable. Did you seek the trade of war, or did it find you? Both, I suppose. I knew fighting was in my blood, and that this favored offered me a chance to use my skills to bring peace. Otherwise, I would have wound up some brigand or an enforcer to a crooked merchant. Okay. You think Ash and his legion brings peace? That's cute, but it doesn't hold water from where I'm standing, big guy. I've seen them spill as much blood as in the Chorus gang. That's Burst talking. You've clearly been too busy sacking villages and stealing crops to notice how a proper army conducts a war. We saw order, not discord. Okay, I can say Burst has a point that his favorite could reconsider their approach, or Barik is right. The Scarlet Curse is too chaotic to recognize order. Used for wars and ashes, or I can just stand back. I did gain a little fear from Burst, but I'm with Barik on this one. Yeah, basically, not only the Scarlet Curse is too chaotic to recognize order, the fucking Archon disappeared after trying to kill me, so yes, they are too chaotic to recognize order. I gain fear with Burst, I gain loyalty with Barik. I can see you are beginning to understand. The curse is a useful tool to throw at one's enemy, but it grows brittle with age, and is soon replaced. The disfavored needed recruits in anticipation of the march south. They offered to care for my mother and brother as long as I stayed with Legion, which is a better guarantee than you'll find anywhere else. I was an elite fighter as far as most were concerned, though still green by disfavored standards. Luckily for everyone, my skills improved under the Air Marshal's rigorous training. Let us speak of something else. Oh, there's a lot to talk about. Tell me about the disfavors, as I have some questions about the Scarlet Curse. What can you tell me about the tiers? You seem a more than capable fighter. I trained with the spear and shield in my youth, but gave it up the day I learned the disfavor iron. I can still throw with some accuracy, but it's a challenge these days. Yeah, with all the scrapping on you. Why? You're interested in a sparring session? Show me how a northerner would impale a wild boar. I heard rumor that Ash has an unbeatable sword fighting technique. An insufficient reputation. Nothing is unbeatable. However, I am not of mind to share Ash's training to an outsider. I mean, no offense. Show me how a northerner would impale a wild boar. Insufficient reputation. Take no offense from this, but I would prefer to keep my fighting techniques private for the time being. Okay, perhaps later. Okay, so we can learn fighting skills from our team members. That's interesting. Let's discuss some immediate concerns. What is it you have in mind? What do you think about our circumstance? What are your thoughts on me and my deeds? What do you think of our travel companions? I am more accustomed to travel in the company of soldiers, so I am out of practice judging the worth of civilians and miscreants. If you had anyone in particular in mind, I'll give you some thought. What about Burst? I try not to. She's a force of chaos, an agent of the voices of Nerat. Taking her into our confidence can only lead to ruin. And yet, she's a capable fighter. For the time being, I am confident that you can trust her to serve your interests, and rely on her skills on the battlefield. She may even offer some useful perspective on the war. What do you think of Lantry? I don't know how many years he has walked the face of the Tyranny, but he clearly knows more than he claims to. Since he claims to know a great deal indeed, there is no limit to what he could be holding back. Well, that's an interesting thought. How about we talk to Lantry just a little bit? Oh, we cannot. Oh yeah, we can talk to Lantry here. Lantry stops the stride, darting his hands about his bandolier and belt as he softly blah 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 when at least assures his positions are in place. Looks up at you with a smile. Okay, so if you're going to be traveling with me, I need to know more about you. I've been talking too much with Barik, I suppose. An understandable request. Let's see. Born in Zander, no kids. What few longings of fatherly love I've got in my heart are satisfied by taking care of carrier birds. Learned my sigils and spells about 30 years back, and being able to defend myself has opened a life of field study, and haven't grown tired of the wandering just yet. I've written on all manners of subjects, magic, birds, language, geometry, but my main focus has been chronicling. I find there is no finer pursuit than recording the events of our times. There will always be legends of what happened. Someone ought to be making a note of the real thing. Aside from that, I don't know. I practice centering stance, draw portraits, make my own inks, and have a sharper version to autobiography. I'm about as boring as watching a coral grow. 1 centimeter a year, by the way. How'd you wind up here in the Bedrooms? Well, tell me about your work with the Oathbreakers. Tell me about your magic. I don't like much to brag about things like that. I'm not asking you to brag. I'm asking you to tell me what you can do. My major areas of focus have been preservation, concealment, and healing. Arts that have served me well in this newfound life as a peripatetic pre-animal. The sages study all kinds of magic, but as a chronicler, I wanted magic that would help me see more, archive more, protect objects of historical value. Seeing as I feel like an old relic in need of some protection, my skills suit me well. Can you teach me anything? Sure, I can show you how to blend your own inks, train birds, but I'm sure you'd prefer to learn some magic. If the school of ink and quill still mattered, maybe I'd be more tight-lipped, but if we're going to travel together, you should know how to mend wounds, especially if I'm killed. I know the edict still looms, but if you have a few hours, I could show you the basic of feeling magic, at least how I learned it. We have like 5 days. Not sure if that's enough though. Okay, let's learn little magic. I also learned loyalty. So he produces a long quill and crumpled piece of parchment with 7 quick strokes on the quill. He inks a pattern on the... Okay. We'll start with principles. When mending wounds and easing pain, we invoke the magic of Orphan Midwife, Archon of Rebirth. By invoking her sigil, we channel her mastery. However briefly though our hands now. Trace the sigil following the lines in the order. Okay, so I can follow distractions. I'm not a war mage, so requirements not met. Follow his instructions. Since this is in your first cantrip, I can move a little quickly, but I think you can keep up. Continue. Okay, what time did we spend? 5 control life skill ranks. And so if you need to heal pain as opposed to purge an infection, you'd move your hand like so, but you know, that's enough for now, and I think the rest you can figure out on your own. Okay, we'll talk more later. Indeed, I have a finite appetite for discussing myself, and I'm more than sated. Let us press onward. Okay, so we spent a lot of time. We know the sigil of life now, and we have some magic skills with Gruvi, which is quite interesting. But okay, since we don't have any side quests to do, and I did satisfy my needs for backstory, I'm gonna leave it now. And okay, as usual, if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more. And hope to see you on the next one, guys. Bye.